Whoa, that's scary. Lacey Grace, a Florida mother, is sharing her daughter's story in the hopes it will save the life of another child from dry drowning. Earlier this month, 4-year-old Eliana Grace was enjoying some swimming time at her grandparents' house in Sarasota, Florida. At the time, Eliana was playing with a pool noodle. While playing in the pool, Eliana's mouth was reportedly around the toy when someone else simultaneously blew through the other end, causing water to shoot directly down Eliana's throat. The child immediately vomited, but 30 minutes later she appeared normal again. Eliana later developed a fever, which eventually subsided. A couple of days later, the fever returned. When Eliana's mother took her to the doctor, she was advised to go to the nearest emergency room immediately. Eliana's heart rate was reportedly running high, her oxygen level was low, and her skin was turning purple. A chest X-ray showed she was suffering from inflammation and an infection from chemicals in the swimming pool. It turns out that Eliana had aspiration pneumonia, also known as dry drowning, a condition that occurs when someone inhales water through the mouth or nose, causing water to enter the lungs. Lacey says she read an article a year earlier about a Texas boy the same age as Eliana who died from dry drowning, which made her think twice about brushing off her daughter's condition as a common fever children sometimes get. An updated Facebook post from Lacey showed Eliana in her hospital bed smiling and showing a thumbs up sign. She's now recovering at home and expected to be just fine. Be careful, people.
Third world parasite on the rise in U.S. South. It may be a disease that is typically associated with developing nations, but a new study has found that parasitic hookworms are plaguing the southern U.S. 34.5% of stool samples taken from Alabama's Loudoun County tested positive for a species of hookworm called Necator americanus. Households in the county are reportedly poor and lack basic sanitation, with waste often discarded in the backyard. Residents exposed to the raw sewage may become infected with hookworm, which enters the human body through the feet. The parasitic worm attaches itself to the walls of the small intestine, sucking the host's blood, which in turn causes anemia, weight loss, impaired mental function, and stunted growth in children. The disease is a problem even for those who can afford to install their own septic tanks. Sewage problems run rampant in Alabama's Black Belt region. The area's loamy soil prevents water from draining into the ground, and heavy rains often cause septic systems to overflow or back up. Parasitic infections like hookworm are treatable with medication, but unless sanitation conditions improve, people will simply become reinfected with the disease. Strep throat leads to little girl's leg amputation. An aspiring young dancer in Ohio is recovering in hospital after a case of strep throat led to a severe infection that caused her to lose her leg. 6-year-old Tessa Puma developed a case of strep throat and was prescribed some antibiotics in early March. But then last week, when she got hit with the flu, she started complaining to her parents about pain in her arms and legs. Tessa went to 2 hospitals before doctors diagnosed her with necrotizing fasciitis, a flesh-eating bacterial infection. The pain in her legs intensified. When doctors performed surgery to relieve swelling, they discovered severe damage in her left leg, in addition to parts of her shoulder and back. Necrotizing fasciitis can develop when bacterial infections migrate from the bloodstream and infect membranes surrounding muscles or other internal organs. Doctors think the strep bacteria entered Tessa's bloodstream and caused the infection. The infection got so bad that doctors were unable to find a pulse in her leg, so in order to help her heal, they amputated her left leg from the knee down. Tessa is recovering in the Akron Children's Hospital, but will need further procedures and other parts of her left leg removed to help her survive.
Flesh-eating virus plagues Australia. Doctors are scrambling to figure out how cases of a nasty skin-eating disease are on the rise down under. Citing experts, the BBC reports Australian cases of Buruli ulcer have increased 400% since 2014. And worryingly, medical experts do not know how to explain or stop its spread. The disease can cut to the bone, spreading toxins that eradicate skin, blood vessels, and fat. This is what causes the ulcer to form. The World Health Organization says they don't know how it spreads or how to stop it. Mycobacterium ulcerans, the bacteria in the disease, comes from the same family as leprosy and tuberculosis. Its origin is unknown, but doctors writing in the Medical Journal of Australia speculate it may come from the environment, soil, or could even be carried by mosquitoes. The infection is more common in Africa, but cases have been on the rise in Victoria, Australia since 2013. The World Health Organization says early detection and antibiotic treatment are key to dealing with Buruli ulcer. The disease is commonly treated with a different combination of antibiotics and, where necessary, surgical techniques such as skin grafting. The BBC reports health authorities have spent more than $750,000 combating the disease and raising awareness of it. But doctors writing in the Aussie Medical Journal are calling on Australia to do more, asking officials to immediately fund research into combating the disease.
Grandmother feeds deadly bacteria to 2-year-old baby. In Zhejiang, a 2-year-old baby girl was checked into emergency services vomiting blood from a severe ulcer. How does a baby get an ulcer? Particularly one so bad that she begins puking blood? It's definitely not from excessive alcohol, coffee, or smoking. This adorable little girl, nicknamed Dolly, spent most of her days at home with her grandmother. When her parents brought her to emergency pediatrics care, they told doctors that Dolly was usually a happy, cheerful baby who had a good appetite. But earlier this month, things changed. Dolly became fussy and often twisted her little body as though she were in pain. She ate very little or refused to eat at all. When her mother prepared her a bottle for bed, Dolly took a few gulps, then promptly threw it all back up. Her mother tried giving her a little water later, but Dolly threw that up as well. This time her mother noticed that the vomit wasn't a milky white, but a deep, dark, reddish brown, so her parents rushed her to hospital. At the hospital, the doctors diagnosed Dolly with the Helicobacter pylori, a clever bad bug that can survive in the acidic soup inside our stomachs. It will produce ammonia to protect itself from the acid until it is able to burrow its way into the stomach lining. Doctors asked that all the family members be tested for the bacteria, and it was only after they found it in Dolly's grandmother that she confessed that sometimes she would feed chewed up food to the baby. Dolly will have to spend a few days in hospital, but the bacteria can be cured with a heavy round of antibiotics.